Hello, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hello to everybody in the comments. Welcome if it's your first time to my channel. I appreciate you being here. If you enjoy it, please hit the subscribe button and the like button for this video. If you've been here before, welcome back. We are going to talk a little bit today about what it's like celebrating Christmas after a cult, or in my particular case, after Scientology. Because it's different, but it's different in ways that you may or you may not think about. I posted over in the chat. If you haven't had a chance, you'll have to go check out later. Tony and I couldn't get my act together to do holiday cards. And to be honest, I've not done them in a while. The last 18 months, Tony went through cancer treatment and he's doing well. He's still recovering from it, but I got really behind on a lot of things. And we thought, let's do a YouTube short instead. And that YouTube short that we just did, where we spoofed my absolute favorite Christmas movie of all time, which is Christmas Vacation, is a wonderful example of something we would not have been allowed to do in Scientology. I'm glad you like the reindeer look. I found these at the dollar store, so I got a few of them. I'm going to go see my grandkids and my kids and my sister and my family, or we are, and I got a couple to bring with them too, to bring for them. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The holidays, it's such a celebratory time for many people, and for some people, it's a rough time too, with people who maybe are, distant from their families, or your family is maybe they're just a bunch of buttholes. So I think it's a great time to, for me anyways, use that humor, which is like a great example is that short that we just did. And making fun of things and having fun with it in that way would be something, especially doing it as when I was a Scientologist and I had done some of the higher levels. It goes all the way up to, my chair feels so high. Hold on. I had to make it higher because of the antlers, but it's throwing me off as far as where my mic is and stuff. So doing stuff like that, having fun like that in ways would be considered very unbecoming of a Scientologist, or unbecoming of someone who had done the operating Thetan levels as I did. I did through operating Thetan level 4 on the bridge to total freedom. And it goes up to level 8. So I guess I got halfway there on the, there's two sides to it, a training side and a Scientology counseling side. And the further you go up this bridge to total freedom, the irony is that, one, that's what it's called, right? So you would think it would lead to freedom and being able to be more who you are and be yourself and be good with that and celebrate that and love yourself. And it is not, unless yourself aligns with the way that Scientology wants you to be to forward their agenda. That is about the only time where that's okay. Merry Christmas, Southern Ontario, Canada. Hello, Marie. Hey, Rhonda. Merry Christmas from Georgia. That's fantastic. But you're kind of getting the idea. Oh, wow, Maya, you're all the way over in Norway. Tony and I, of course, this is my only reference for Norway, so excuse me if this is really kind of pigeonholing it, but Vikings. There was that show on the History Channel. Anyways, we watched every season, absolutely loved it. And when I think of Norway, I think of Vikings. And hopefully that's where some of them were from. And I'm not confusing it with another place, but it's what I'm thinking about. Pause for Andrea. Freedom from your money. Exactly. And so when you're in Scientology, and again, especially if you're if you've done some of the higher levels, there's this expectation of how you're supposed to be and your moral level and this and that. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to, have some scruples. Absolutely it is. And it's not uncommon in other religions as well. The difference is the level of judgment and what sometimes people in Scientology will make something mean that it doesn't mean, or the reading into something that they will do to make it somehow seem like you're just setting this horrible example as a Scientologist, which is something I heard often. And probably because I was a bit rebellious at times. I had my times where I was nose down and hardcore, really trying to be a good cult member. But a lot of the times it just didn't go that way. And so I would hear that a lot. And it was really, I found it to be so conflicting because, wait a minute, I thought in Scientology it's supposed to be about becoming more of yourself, right? But that only works if yourself aligns with what they need and want from you. And if being yourself means opening up your wallet and giving all of your money that way. There is, hold on a sec. I got to look something up quick to see if I can find it. I love hearing where all of you are from. That is so fun. And it's crazy how it's from just really all over the place. That's what blows my mind so much. I just reached out to my sister who's back in Hawaii, but with the time difference, they're probably still sleeping. But it'd be fun when people from Hawaii can join us soon. If there is anybody from Hawaii in the chat, I would love to hear it as well. Mele kalikimaka to all of you. Absolutely. Me and Taz. Okay, wasn't expecting the headgear when I tuned in. I was saying I found these at the dollar store and I'm going to wear them over to my sister's where I'm going to go see the family and see my grandkids. Hey, Kim. Hello and Merry Christmas from Toronto. Wow, Vermont. This is fantastic. This is wonderful. Oh, give your sis good greetings. Absolutely, I will. If you have not, my sister Lana has done 2 videos with me here on my channel. They're under the live button. And she's kind of gotten there. She got in there a little bit with the comments, but I think it's new to her as how you just manage the whole thing. So I've been taking screenshots of videos and screenshots of comments and sending them over to her or reading them to her when I'm on the phone with her. And she is blown away by the level of support and she feels so supported, all of you. So I want to say thank you so much for just that kind of continued support and encouragement and love. It is, if you're not familiar, she's sharing her story of growing up in Scientology and being in the Sea organization and what happened to her. And these are things she's not talked about. She has kept secret for 35 years. And a lot of it I'm finding out at the same time as well. This will be a really interesting family get together. It'll be fun because we've kind of been talking about so much more. And some of it is heavy and serious, but some of it too is we are able to laugh about the ridiculousness of it. Wow, Nova Scotia. Lots of Canadians in the chat. I love that. I've been to a couple parts of Canada and I did enjoy it. When I went to Niagara Falls, it was on the Canadian side. I would love to go back. The Weasel, did you meet Tom Cruise? No, I've never met Tom Cruise. I had a brief encounter with John Travolta and he was absolutely lovely, but not Tom Cruise. When Tom Cruise would show up, if it was, for example, at the Celebrity Center, they would clear out. I mean, they would shut down. You couldn't get on and off. You could not get on the elevator. They would just clear the way. And they would do that at the international base too. I heard that if there was anyone around, Sea organization members who looked a little sickly or unhappy, they made sure that they weren't around because you can't have the Tom Cruise seeing that kind of stuff. You cannot. That's actually a belief in Scientology and a rule that you cannot put your upset or your negative emotions onto, really, you're not supposed to with anyone, but especially someone like Tom Cruise. You're not supposed to do that. So you got to shut that stuff down, or they just put other people there. Hello from Southern New Hampshire. Hey, that's fantastic. Super Pup says, love your lives with Lana and Shelby. Me too. Miss Sunrise Dawn you're in here from Georgia. This is fantastic. Might bring his tone down, Kelly says. Yes, you're right. Exactly. That's it. And in Scientology, you'll hear people talking about, something is uptone or downtone. And that is because L. Ron Hubbard came up with this emotional tone scale. So it's a scale of all of these emotions and also instructions on how to raise somebody on that. But if Tom Cruise, somebody who is at the top of that chart in what L. Ron Hubbard called serenity of beingness, that if you show up with your crappy attitude and your your negative vibes, you might drag him down the tone scale. And we can't have that happening to the Tom Cruise. Ooh, someone else from Vancouver. Marie, so you live near Niagara Falls. I was going to say Viagra Falls. Niagara Falls. That's cool. I only got to see it the one time, but I would love to go again. And hey, the inappropriate heifer, you are from Ohio. That's fantastic. Doom, doom, doom. I love it. You're right. The Canadians are taking over. There's tons of Canadians here. That's fantastic. I wonder why that is. Oh, and Merry Christmas from Pakistan. Wow, you went to college in Minnesota. I missed that and love that you're representing it. Yes, I'm over here representing Minnesota, living that cult-free life in Minnesota. If you're new to my channel, I talk a lot about my own story growing up in Scientology, being in the Sea organization, leaving, and life afterwards, how I kind of process and shed that cult culture, and also the stories of my family. And I'll be sharing the stories of other people as well who've left Scientology. I really want to dig into more stories of people who weren't necessarily staff members or in the Sea organization. I absolutely want to share those too. But I feel we're missing the perspective of somebody who was more an everyday parishioner, because they do have a different perspective and a different experience. And I have questions. I just have so many questions because I know what my experience was, but I would like to hear from more people like that. Merry Christmas, Hana Kwanzaa from New York. I love that, Veronica. I've been to New York a couple times. I did go to, let's see, I think the first time I went, it was for the Ideal Organization opening of the New York org right there in Manhattan. Still that whole Ideal Organization scam is going on. And basically what Scientology does is they get the parishioners to pay for all of this real estate and the renovation costs of these buildings, which then that real estate portfolio belongs to Scientology, international, I forget which organization. But as I understand it, not the local churches themselves. So you raise all that money and you still don't completely own it. So when the New York one opened, I went to that, and I think that was my first time in New York, and I might have gone back one or two more times. And really, I liked Central Park. I remember there was a hotel across the street that I thought was kind of cool too, that we had lunch at. One of the times I went to New York, I took it was right after my mom had passed away, and I had already had the trip planned with my husband at the time. And my mom had never been to New York. And I had this little urn. I still have it. I called it my mini mom, because it's just this mini urn of some of her ashes that we held back. And I took it with me to New York. And I played checkers in Central Park, and boom, there it was. I took the mini urn, it was small. I could fit it in my pocket, up to the Empire State Building, to the Plaza Hotel for a meal, for just like all these things. I took my little mini mom urn around. It was my way of coping and dealing with the loss of my mother in part. And I think she would have just gotten such a kick out of it too. I think it would have been fun. Feliz Navidad. Hey, black male. Oh, France. Hey, Tony. Oh, Minnesota here. Hey, Ted. That's so fun too. I've heard from people around Minnesota who've discovered my channel, and it's so neat to connect with people out in my community here who were watching growing up in Scientology, A. Ron's channel, or another creator, and then somehow found my channel. It's been really interesting because it's not something that I've locally in it. I'm not really I've not really talked about it a ton other than in person. So it's really cool when they're finding it and finding out kind of like what they think about it and what their views are as they continue to learn more about Scientology and what is really going on. Hey, retired wine and true crime. Hello, Merry Christmas Eve. Absolutely. Yes, Marie, thank you. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, everyone. Thank you for that reminder for everyone and me as well, and the subscribe button. I'm working hard to get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible because my Tony, the diva that he is, doesn't want to come on and do a chat until then. As he put it, I'm not showing up for less than 10,000 subscribers. So the only reason he agreed to do that reel with me today is because he knows that it is my absolute favorite Christmas movie. And it was his gift to me. And I absolutely loved it. Veronica says, I used to pass the New York City org every day when I worked in Manhattan many years ago, but it was always empty. Girl, it's still empty. It still is. Not much has changed that way. Michelle Kelly, Merry Christmas. I lived in Northfield, Minnesota until I was 10. Yes, Northfield, Minnesota. When I think of that, I think of, what's that college over there? St. Olaf, right? Or am I thinking, no, yeah, St. Olaf. St. Olaf. Yes, I think it's a private college out there. And if you watch Golden Girls, Rose is from St. Olaf, Minnesota, but I don't think there actually is a St. Olaf, but I always wondered if that's what they meant. Maybe she's really from Northfield. Hiya, everyone. Subscribe. We want to meet the Tony. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm really interested in him sharing his perspective because we laugh about it a lot. Yes to St. Olaf. Yes. Now, growing up in Scientology, we celebrated Christmas even though we weren't Christians or celebrating it in terms of because of Jesus. It was really more Santa and spending time with family if you were able to do that, if you weren't in the Sea organization or a staff member. Churches of Scientology, far as I know, are still open on Christmas Day. So they do have a crew that's there. Those people don't shut down for nothing. In the Sea organization, when I joined the Sea organization, I did it at the lowest level you could possibly do. And I was able to get then Christmas off, and we would go to Disneyland or go to movies. Happy Christmas Eve from Arizona. Hi, Andrea. Welcome. It's raining here. It's weird. It's so weird. We have no snow. It's going to be 52 degrees today, which is fantastic. The only bummer is it's supposed to rain most of the afternoon, and we wanted to do a bonfire at my sister's house. We thought, how fun. You don't get to do that often. Well, you can in the wintertime. Even with snow, we put out bonfires and then just dress for it. But that's really what I would love to do today. So I hope the rain lets up. So growing up, we celebrated Christmas with presents and all that. As I got older and became more of an adult in Scientology, I found it interesting that the public Scientologists, the parishioners, and when I became one, I learned this. So this was like after I was in the Sea organization and I had gotten back, I was actively in Scientology. And there's this almost like guilt if you're going and doing something that's fun or you're going on vacation. Because remember what Tom Cruise said. He would love to go on vacation. He would love to frolic in the sun and do all this, but he's got a job to do. You cannot tell me that man does not go on vacation and does not enjoy himself and stuff like that. So I don't know who he thinks he's kidding with that, but that is the message that's sent to Scientologists. So even the ones sometimes who can go and celebrate the holiday or take time off, there's often this guilt associated with it because you should be at the organization. You should be at the church. You should be doing things. Jilly says, hey, everyone, green Christmas in South Alberta, Canada. Here too, a little bit more on the brown side. Oh, speaking of brown, hello, Molly Brown. Merry Christmas, Natalie. Greetings from Minnetonka. That is not far from me at all, and really close to where my office is, where we do real estate out of. That's fantastic. Now, when I talk about celebrating Christmas and holidays in Scientology. Again, most Scientologists do celebrate Christmas. And if you're a Jewish Scientologist, they celebrate Hanukkah, two different levels. And that's sometimes confusing for people because they're like, well, Scientology claims to be non-denominational. They say that, come one, come all, ooh, you can be of different religions and you can still practice Scientology. No, you cannot. Maybe in the beginning when you first get in, but once you get to a certain point, you're supposed to shut that off. And that is why my mom, towards the end of her Scientology career, uh, when we had already decided we were going to leave, but I was working my plan to get my oldest daughter, Shelby, out of Florida. So we needed more time. She went and got baptized in a Christian church and then caught hell for it, which is ridiculous because she's like, wait a minute, I thought we were non-denominational and you could practice other religions within Scientology. That's one of multiple things that they actually don't tell the truth about. That is not true. Ooh, me and Taz, you're off to the golf course. That is so cool. Have a positive day, everyone. You have fun. Wow, you definitely got to be somewhere warm. God, I really want to get outside today. I hope that the rain stops, but I'm going to bring like my comfy clothes for outside. Trisha says, which is why Sky Daily married Hogan. They both just got baptized. Yes, I heard about that. And I saw the video that Aaron did on growing up in Scientology. And I thought that was really interesting because, he talks about how she is still a Scientologist. And I don't know if she is or she is not, but she is still a member in good standing, but she's doing things that would result in you not being a member in good standing, which would create a situation with her family. So it's very interesting to see how this kind of plays out. It'd be funny if a whole bunch of Scientologists just like, or the ones that really felt called and wanted to be baptized were actually allowed to be. That's another example of why can't you just allow that? Nowhere in Scientology are you doing any type of worship behind, you don't, there's no prayer, there's nothing like that. So if you wanted to have that in your life and you felt that, you should be allowed to. And in Scientology, you're not past the very beginning. That is something you are not allowed to do. But it is interesting that they both that she was baptized as well. Because it's kind of almost like in the eyes of Scientologists, you are turning your back on Scientology. You're joining another religion, which could be argued as the equivalent of publicly leaving Scientology, which is a suppressive act. That is something you are absolutely not supposed to do. Kelly says, all is forgiven if you bring in Hulk Hogan. You're probably right. And I don't know if I am missing something, but is Hulk Hogan that big of a celebrity and name, or is it kind of in the wrestling world mainly, or in Florida? It's just kind of funny that like that's the best Scientology can do now. And I'm not saying he's not all that. I don't know the man, and I'm not familiar with wrestling and things like that. But it is very curious. At least you can argue Tom Cruise is a box office, big celebrity. The Weasel, is Scientology accepting to the LGBTQ society? No, they are not. When I was in Scientology, especially in the C organization, and it was found that it's one thing to have urges, right? If you have same-sex urges, it was another thing to act on them. And in the C organization, they already have rules. Like you cannot, when you're in the C, now this is just the C organization, not everyday Scientologists. But in the C organization, you cannot have sex until you're married. You can't even do most things, like a little bit of a kiss, maybe, which is why teenagers get married in the C organization. So, and I knew a guy once who got in trouble because he had some sexual activity with another guy. And so he got busted and in trouble, and he had to come work in the dining room with me. And I just felt for him because the misery. And this idea that he needed to somehow Scientology audit away the gay was just something I couldn't wrap my head around. Even then, that was not something, definitely not something I agreed with. And in Scientology, in Dianetics, and there's a book called Science of Survival, L. Ron Hubbard is very clear about how he describes homosexuality. And his views are very clear on it. And I don't know how many Scientologists make that make sense. So many of them, I think, end up becoming homophobic to a degree as well. What's really interesting is there is one Scientology celebrity that I'm aware of, Catherine Bell. I think she does Hallmark, and wasn't she in JAG maybe? She is like a active lesbian and has a partner, but I'm not aware of her catching a bunch of heat in it in Scientology. So maybe if you're a celebrity, it's okay. I don't know. I'm just not sure. But no, they're not. It's something that they consider needs to be handled, that you can audit it away, that it's an aberration, that you're what they call like a degraded being. Anybody who has been in the Sea Organization, L. Ron Hubbard says if you leave the Sea Organization, you are a degraded being, or DB for short. And that is something they're always throwing in your face when you want to leave the Sea Organization. Because you might be like, look, I want to leave. And they're like, well, then you're going to be a degraded being. You're a DB. You're nothing more than that. And that's what they say about you to other people after you leave, because they need to brand the whole leaving the Sea Organization as this absolutely horrible thing. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, my mom went to high school with Hulk Hogan, but didn't realize until years later that a Terry, what does that say, Bollea, had become Hulk Hogan. Oh, that's right, because he had a different name. That is funny. That would be a real surprise for your mom. Hulk Hogan has been a celebrity wrestler. Maybe baptism was a publicity stunt. Probably. To some degree. And maybe it's, I just find I can't wrap my head around that one, that he did it fine. But it to me just really would show that, hey, she can't really be that active in Scientology, but they're kind of looking the other way on this. Maybe they are really happy to have Hulk Hogan in there. Michelle says, oh, I see. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's so funny. Now, since leaving Scientology, since being cult-free and able to live this cult-free life, it has been fantastic to celebrate any way that we want to be able to do fun things like, make the short that Tony and I did today and shared. That would absolutely be slammed to something that was unbecoming of a Scientologist, or, as an operating Thetan. It's just so much, it's part of the fun. And I think that's why I get such a kick out of the humor side of these things. And when I get to chat with Aaron and make fun of some of the things that were so ridiculous, because it just was. And it brings balance for me to having to also work through a lot of the things were more on the things that are harder to talk about, the things that were more abusive and, mentally, spiritually, physically, those. It brings some balance. So I hope that you guys enjoy that as well, because I don't think, for me anyways, that the approach needs to be one of being completely serious. And that is something I got in trouble in Scientology for all the time, that I wasn't serious enough. Darn Natalie and her darn joy and wanting to be happy and wanting to laugh and enjoy people. How horrible. That is so unbecoming as a Scientologist. Kelly says, you finally get to be a kid. Yes, I think that's so much of it. I remember last year, I had spent quite a bit of time being self-employed, and now I work with a team, and we just opened our own real estate brokerage. And we last year, I was like, I really wanted to build a snowman. It had been a long time. And the woman that I work with, we were like, we just went and did it. It was just so much fun in the middle of the workday. These things that you just get to do, you get to have fun, you get to just do or express yourself in the ways that you want to. and enjoy other people. Pause for Andrea. Where's the short posted? I didn't see it. So it's on my channel. So if you go to my channel page and you click on shorts, it should be on there. Kelly says Christianity was a big part of his persona, apparently, and that's Hulk Hogan. That's what I heard too. That's what I heard too. And you're right, Maya. Snowmen are fun. Snowmen are fun. Doing fun things are fun. It is okay to laugh and make light about something. I acknowledge at the same time, though, that not everybody is there. And for some people, when I joke about Scientology or laugh about some of these things, I know that it can be difficult for them because they're not there. They're not there yet in their journey or with what they're going through on it. And I just want to say we all deal with it in different ways. And I respect your journey and how you are going to go through it. And you can always, keep scrolling and don't watch if you find it triggering or upsetting, because I'm not going to stop. It's the only way that I know how to do it. And I think sometimes all you can do is make fun of some of the ridiculousness. Lydia, Merry Christmas, Natalie, and all the SP Nation. Yes, I love that. Tony walks around the house now going, SP Nation. I need to get him a shirt. I'm coming up with some merch ideas for all the stuff that I want. But then I thought it'd be fun to create and put it on here like how other creators have as well. I looked into how to do that. And I'm like, okay, I just need to come up with the things that I actually would like to have on there. And there are so many. There are so many. Definitely going to do something with a hip, hip, hooray. Definitely. Maya says, I almost live at the North Pole, so I have snowmen and reindeer in my backyard. That is super cool. That's really fun. Hey, poet. Good afternoon. Good morning for some. Good evening for others. Natalie, I have no idea why you don't have 10,000 subscribers yet. You are my favorite ex-Scientologist, and I look forward to each of your videos. Merry Christmas and hip, hip, hooray. Thank you, Tuffy. That is super sweet. And I'm just so amazed by that. I am newer to YouTube. On my other channel where I was doing a podcast, we had YouTube up for a long time, but never really did a lot with it. So I really wasn't that familiar with it. And so I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks, and y'all help me out so much. So I have no idea how long it takes or what it takes to get to 10,000 subscribers. I just know I'm motivated because Tony's given me sass about it. And I would like it to happen sooner than I think it might. I don't know if he thought that would take a long time, because it's going to be fun to have him come and join us for a live and have him be able to answer some questions. Oh, Maya says, so you would fit right in with those antlers. Yes. I was wearing this the other day when I was at my office, just in the office. It was just me and one other person. And I had to go to 2 different places to run errands, drop off a check for something, and check in on some tenants for something else. And I totally forgot that I was wearing it, because it's just a headband and it's actually quite comfortable. Yeah, the looks made sense later, but I'm good with it. At least I'm wearing it during the holidays where it's relevant. If I was wearing it and it was maybe July, then maybe it would be weird, but I don't think this is. So the Weasel says, I created a comic about superheroes. That is super cool. Hey, Sweden. Nice to meet you. Natalie, you have fast become one of my favorite SPTV YouTubers. Oh, I love that. V Kitten, you love the content. Thank you so much. Your feedback means a lot to me, because I don't want to just talk about stuff that you actually don't want to hear about. Oh, okay. So Poet says Reese got to 10,000 in about 6 weeks. Cool. Very cool. That is awesome. I've been loving her channel lately. I love when she talks about, I'm getting shopping tips from her. Otis Mom 07, I have 2 autistic sons, degraded beings. What would good Scientology folks do if their kids were diagnosed as being on the spectrum? That is a very good question. I honestly, I think it depends on the parents. I have known the number one thing most of them do is they would seek out help in a more holistic approach. They would approach maybe functional medicine doctors, who practice that kind of medicine over regular medical, which might prescribe some type of prescription drug. And Scientologists are not against all medical drugs. It's the mind altering ones, the fun ones. That is what, painkillers that alter your mind. But if you just had a massive surgery and that is what you need, you also can do that. But something like a Zoloft, something that you would be regularly taking for depression, that is something that they are not down with, psychiatric drugs specifically. So a lot of them try to handle it more with a more holistic approach. And I don't know enough about autism to say whether that works or not. I know people outside of Scientology who have sought treatment that way and really who do more both. And they've had help from it. So I think, whatever you need to do, but it does create a situation for Scientologists because you're not as open to everything. You know what I'm saying? You're not the full what could be available to help your child medically. Some of those things would be frowned upon and you would not be able to do in Scientology. They would also try to get the child Scientology processing specific for children. That is something that they would do. They basically would like to just throw Scientology at it. Veronica, I'd love to see Natalie and Reese collaborate. Me too. I reached out to her a couple weeks ago. She said she had a lot going on with some people that she already had plans for on her channel coming up. And I said, hey, reach out anytime because I really enjoy your videos and what she does. And I love that there's so many different types of creators doing the whole SPTV thing because there's got to be someone and there will be more. There needs to be more and people connect in different ways. So it's always good to have different people because we are all different. Scientologists aren't all alike. There's common things, just like in Christianity, you can't say that they're all the same type of person. They're all alike. They're different. So ex-Scientologists, same thing. We're still people. And we're all going to be very different. And we're all going to be dealing with what happened in different ways. And from a poet, you're right. Church of Scientology doesn't want you to have any fun. Oh, absolutely. The Weasel, what does Scientology say about the COVID vaccines? Now, I have not been in Scientology since that all happened. My understanding from people that I've heard this from was that there was kind of a flip-flop where they were against it before, but then flipped on it when David Miscavige was like, no, you all need to do this. And I think it was ordered and made mandatory, which sounds about right for him. Where they individually sit at it, I think that shocked a lot of Scientologists when it was being, they were really being pushed to do it because, again, many of them, it's not a thing in Scientology to not get the shots, but for some, there's a tendency to lean more, holistically leaning, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm always like, hey, do what works for you. There's so many different options and ways of looking at it. Everybody's just got to do what works for them and what works for their family. I'm more curious about how they felt about, and this is why I'm dying to talk to somebody who's left Scientology since then. Like, what did you really think about all of the gloves? Like long beyond when the rest of the world wasn't really doing it. What did they think about that? And what happened during the shutdown when people weren't allowed to be on course? It's so contrary to, like I said, they would get you there on Christmas, New Year's, holidays. Oh, you have the day off. You should come in and go on course, or you should come on for at least a certain amount of time. If they try to get you for whatever you can, it's they're interesting that way. And one of the things that I have loved most since leaving Scientology is having the freedom to do whatever the frick I want during my time off, during my days off. If I want to even work on a day off, I can, but it's my choosing. And if I want to take the day off, never get out of my pajamas and stay sitting in my recliner, I can do that too. You get to do what you want. It is still something that I am so giddy about. What I mean is I have such an appreciation for it. I think when you've not had that for big chunks of your life where you could I'm going to go just chill out and read a book, where you couldn't do that because you needed to be on post or you needed to be doing Scientology. it's just such a great thing. And I really try and soak it in when I do, because it feels like so much freedom, the freedom to chill. That I think is something that I've experienced too on the holidays. They're more laid back because you're not as much like, oh, well, I need to go on course from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, or 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Then they're going to allow me to leave, or I need to do my Scientology auditing still on Christmas, all of those things. Eat more pizza now. Merry Christmas Eve to you as well. Today is when I really celebrate with my family, and tomorrow we'll celebrate some more. Tony's boys are going to come over and we're going to have a good time. What are some of you doing? How do you celebrate the holidays? It's, Christmas falls on what is today? Saturday. So is today Saturday? Yeah, it is. So that means I need to look at my calendar, because I think I took off an extra day. Oh, I did. Tuesday, I will get a notification out about this sometime soon. But on this coming Tuesday, my daughter Shelby's going to join me for another live, and she's going to share specifically about some of the things that happened that she experienced and witnessed when she was training in Florida at the Flag Land Base to work at the church back here in St. Paul. That's where I broke her out of. Or if you ask Scientology, that's where I kidnapped my own daughter from. Which today is Sunday. Is it really? Oh my gosh, you're right. It is. Okay, now it makes sense. That's right. I went to my office yesterday, so it threw me off a little bit that today is Sunday. Okay, so it's Christmas Eve. So I took off Monday and Tuesday, and Shelby's coming over on Tuesday. Kelly says Christmas is not a big deal in Cuba, but New Year's is amazing. Wow, I bet. In Hawaii, on holidays, especially New Year's and 4th of July, if you ever get the chance to go look up, probably it's on YouTube somewhere, Hawaii fireworks or Hawaii New Year's fireworks, it's insane and totally illegal, and it doesn't stop anybody. Some of the fireworks are illegal, but I've always loved that. Even when I was a kid in Hawaii, their fireworks were next level. They were just incredible, and I love that they're still doing it. The Weasel says, I celebrated Hanukkah at Panda Express, the supposed Chinese place at the mall. Oh, Michelle says, tamales at my brother's and sister's-in-law's house. Oh, cool. Christmas dinner at your house tomorrow. That's awesome. Very cool. Tarot Destroyer. Something at Panda Express. Oh, yep. Tamales at brothers and sisters' house today. That is so cool. That is so cool. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for your story. I was married to a Scientologist. Ooh, pulling up the chair to hear this. I wasn't, but did do some courses. I now believe my ex views me as an SP. This explains his relationship with our kids. Thank you again. Wow. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's pick that one apart. So your ex, is your ex still a Scientologist? Was it still or was? Probably still a Scientologist. I was married to a Scientologist. I wasn't, but did do some courses. Okay. So he obviously wanted you to be a Scientologist. And now you're split. So this explains his relationship with our kids. Does he have a relationship, or is there a lack of a relationship? Is he pulling a Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise, Suri? They don't see each other kind of a thing. If they are, I'm so sorry for your kids that their dad's not available. But, it's being in Scientology to that level. And if he thinks you're a suppressive person, which you're right, he probably does. Because if you have any disagreement, that's their automatic answer. Of course you disagree with Scientology. You're a suppressive person. That's the only reason somebody could disagree. But that's really sad if he doesn't have a relationship with your kids because of it. Or he does, and it affects that relationship. I can absolutely see that. I'd love to hear more about that. And if you have any questions about if I can be at help at all to shed, one of the things I like to do with my videos is to shed light on the mindset of a Scientologist to help people understand. And I think with understanding, it can help us just, help people to leave and just kind of understand that mindset more and maybe be in more of a role to help them. And it also explains some oddities as well. So you can email me at natalie@tonkatalk.com. Tonka Talk is my other podcast and YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you go over to Tonka Talk Community and Connection and subscribe to that YouTube channel, you're going to find where I share the ways people create community and connection. I do a lot of interviews and share that, and I love that. But you can email me there, natalie@tonkatalk.com. If there's anything I can shed light on to help you understand your ex-husband that could help, maybe even help with your children, because I will say this, I look at it like this sometimes. My dad, my biological father, has had a lifetime struggle with addiction. That made him very unavailable as a father. Did it mean that he didn't love my sister and I? No, he did and he does. But he is not emotionally available or mentally available to be a father to us. He wasn't when we were growing up, and we have a relationship now, but it just depends on what's going on with him. Sometimes he's more in touch than other times. And I think it's important for children who have parents in Scientology, especially if the kids are not in Scientology. And, in your situation where you're divorced, your ex is a Scientologist and you have the kids, or even if the kids go back and forth, that the kids have an understanding that Scientology in that way is like a drug. That's why it's a cult, because it cuts across it doesn't bring families together. It tends to break them up, especially if there is any disagreement with Scientology. And they need to know, I mean, I don't know your ex-husband, right? I'm only speaking from my experience that even for Scientologists, because I've known Scientologists who have cut off their kids, mainly their adult kids, they still love their kids. It's just with the brainwashing, it killed them to do it. There was a lot of upset about it. But with the brainwashing, they believe that by cutting ties with them, that they're actually helping them, because now those people outside of Scientology might open their eyes or realize that they shouldn't be antagonistic against Scientology. That's what their church tells them. You're leaving the door open just a crack when you put the correct label on someone, be it suppressive person or potential trouble source. But I always tell people, don't let how somebody else chooses to show up or act determine how you choose to show up or act. If you have love for that person, express it. If they don't want to acknowledge it or share it, that's fine. But if you feel that love, whatever it is, then you feel that and you can still express that. But yeah, email me because I'm really curious. And again, if there's anything I can do to help shed light on that, I absolutely would. Ooh, eat more pizza. You're having Christmas tacos tonight as you have to work tomorrow. Oh, God, tacos sound good right now. I'm hungry. Land Mermaid. Oh, I love that name. Melakalikimaka from Yorkshire in the UK. That is fantastic. I saw earlier somebody said something about the Hawaii state fish, and that person did a great job spelling it too, which some people struggle with it. And if you don't know, this is your Hawaii tip for the day. The state fish of Hawaii is the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a. It is a very colorful fish, from what I recall, but the very long name, Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a. Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a. But you can kind of slow that down too. So maybe that's your word you can practice. Go to your holiday event and be like, it'll be good dinner conversation. Did you know that the state fish in Hawaii is the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a? And you will have that right. That will be actually absolutely correct. The weasel, as a gay person, I'm trying to find a religion that will accept me. I hear ya. Sometimes I've talked about this. Like, I do miss a little bit of the community around, even though Scientology, in my mind, I get it. Scientology is a quote legal religion because they have the IRS status. I do not consider in my mind as being really a religion, especially once what I've learned about other religions and how those churches operate and what they do. See, pause for Andrea wants tacos now too. I know. Gosh, yeah, definitely. I'm really hungry. I hope my sister has appetizers out early at her house. Molly Brown, going to my new Ukrainian family's home, found them all in 2021. I am adopted and took me 55 years to find them. Slava Ukraini. Been quite the journey. That is so cool. How fun. I love finding and discovering family. Sometimes that happens if you've done 23andMe or Ancestry.com. If you opt in for it, you get a notification saying that they found some relatives. It is scary how many people we're related to. I mean, that we share DNA with. It is so much more than I ever thought. Atypical Paul, I'm glad you love the thumbnail. Make sure you check out the short. I did a short. Tony and I did a short today because I was like, man, we didn't do anything. Like we didn't get out any holiday cards. Let's just do this and text it to our family and friends. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with it. It sounds like you guys are doing some cool stuff today. That's so much. That's really awesome. Looks like I've got a question here. Promise I am a real person. Real question. What do most ex-Scientologists believe, theology-wise? Do some believe in a higher power? So in Scientology, there is the concept of what's referred to as a supreme being. And L. Ron Hubbard doesn't really get into it beyond saying, so in Scientology, he says there are different parts of your life that he calls dynamics. So there's like a first dynamic, which is just yourself. And second dynamic is sex and children, like your family, your partner. And it goes on from there to your immediate group, to mankind, to plants and animals, to spirituality. And then I think the eighth one is a supreme being, but they don't really get into it. And in the practice of Scientology, there is no leaning on a higher power, reaching out to a higher power, anything like that. So I would say no, they do not believe in a higher power, even though it's acknowledged that there's a higher power. I felt like that's something that L. Ron Hubbard did just to be more in alignment with what a lot of other people believe. I still struggle with what I believe, since leaving Scientology. I'm not 100% sure. I definitely believe, though, that there's some type of higher power. I just don't know what that looks like. The idea of there being a universal, just a higher power, but I don't think of that in terms of just a God, one. Maybe there's many. I don't know. In the Hawaiian culture, there's many gods. There's Pele for fire. There's Lono. There's many that represent different things in the culture. And also in the Hawaiian culture, similar to Native Americans, they believe in you have a spirit animal. And here's your other Hawaiian word for the day, amakua. And amakua is your spirit animal. And they either reveal themselves to you, it's you have a particular attachment to one. For my sister, Lana, her amakua is a wolf. And my dad is a honu, or a sea turtle. You can have different ones. You can have a family amakua as well. But as far as Scientology goes and a higher power, I feel like no, it's not something that they openly acknowledge or practice. I definitely would say that no. From a poet, one of my second mothers was from Hawaii. I'm basically one of her adoptive kids. That's cool. So you would be what's called her Hanai son. And a Hanai son, or your Hanai family, is that family by choice that you chose. And you are as important to that family as you are their blood relatives once you are accepted in like that as a Hanai part of the family. So it really is an honor. Now, because Hawaii is part of the United States, there's formal adoption. But back in the day, there wasn't. And and people still practice it today. My grandma had, I think, at least three Hanai sons who were her sons. And she had 4 sons that she gave birth to. Going to dinner with my adoptive family tonight. I'll have to tell them about you. Yes. So one of your second mothers was from Hawaii. That is so cool. It's such an interesting concept to me, and I love it because there's such acceptance there. And I think in leaving Scientology, for me, when I started like, okay, what do I believe? Who am I? Just like all these questions, I fell back a lot on my upbringing in Hawaii and that culture. And there's so much acceptance there. And I always used to joke, it's like, hey, the people of Hawaii, there's so many mixed people like myself because they don't discriminate. They're like, hey, you're cute, doesn't matter, race, religion, otherwise. They're much more open. And so I'm what's called hapa haole or half haole. So my mom's from Florida, but my dad and that whole family has always been from Hawaii. And and I'm a mix. I'm part Chinese as well. That's why often when I laugh, my eyes will completely disappear. See? But it's very common to have people who are Hawaiian who are also Chinese because of the Chinese immigrants that came to Hawaii to work. That my great grandfather on my grandma's side was from China. So you get to learn a little bit more about me in that way. I love how you guys share too. I just love all of this. You can pick your family, you can't pick your relatives. You're right, eat more pizza. That's so true. You can pick your family, and that is exactly the concept in Hawaii of having a Hanai family. And Poet says, I've known the family since I was in diapers. She met her husband when he was in the army and stationed there. Oh, that's cool. That is super cool. That is really cool. It's such a beautiful thing when families come together in different ways. And I am a huge fan of the Hanai family concept and of just welcoming people into your group and into your family, which is very much a lot of the Aloha way. And in Hawaii, it's just such a melting pot. Hey, Lay, Merry Christmas, neighbor. We figured out we are close to being neighbors. Very close. Good to see you here. I'm getting ready to head over to my sisters. I'm going to go head over to the St. Paul side. Kazri of Hecate.com. Hi, Natalie. Happy to catch you live. Happy to have you here. Thank you so much. I've been sharing about how Tony and I didn't have our act together to do a holiday card. So we just put out a short this morning and I'm texting it to all my family. Now I have the song Mele Kalikimaka stuck in my head, Miss Sunrise Dawn. It's a good one though. It's catchy. I won't sing it because it's copyrighted and I don't let my lack of talent in singing stop me. In fact, all right, I have a tidbit for you guys. So I have not shared this yet. So gather around, my friends. Maya says I'd love to go to Hawaii, but it might be too warm for me. Yeah, you know what you got to do is go to like maybe the Big Island and then go spend time up in Waimea. It's a lot cooler there when you move away from the beach. I got some tips for you, so reach out. When I was in Scientology as a parishioner, and I was on what was called the Operating Thetan Committee, think PTA type thing, but for Scientology, people who are not on staff. And they were raising money to buy a building to create this whole ideal organization. And I think I need to do a separate video on this. But my sister Lana, who wasn't even in Scientology then, we wrote and produced a song that was being sold to raise money for the ideal organization, just within Scientology. Nobody in their right mind was paying money for this thing outside of Scientology. She found it the other day. Not since the album The Road to Freedom, which was written by L. Ron Hubbard and done by a bunch of Scientology singers, has something been so absolutely cringy. And I think I pretty much decided that I'm going to share it with you guys. Not right now, because I don't know how to do that yet. But maybe I'll do it on a video with Aaron because I would just die to see his reaction to it. It is so embarrassing. Like, it's so embarrassing. Yet at the same time, it's absolutely hilarious. I died laughing. I mean, like, pee myself laughing when I listened to it. I have not heard this thing for over a decade, and I forgot that we did it. And here's the best part. David Miscavige bought our single. He bought a copy as part of his donation to, $10. I think they were being sold for. I'll share the whole story of how it got to him and who brought it and all that. But yes, doing it with Aaron, that would be priceless. I think we need to do it. This is kind of interesting to me because I have shared so much with you guys. I don't have a lot of, I'm fine with sharing a lot of I don't have skeletons in my closet. They're all out dancing. So there's not a lot I'm not willing to talk about or acknowledge from my past, in large part because of my upbringing. But this song, it is so embarrassing, but it's so funny. You guys are going to die. And my sister said that it would be okay to share. So I'm going to talk to Aaron about it and see if he wants to do it with me. I will. I think I did mention it to him, but we haven't really planned anything. I'm going to do that. Greetings from Norfolk. Hey, that is fantastic. Maya says, oh my God, that would be awesome. Sending a holiday video short instead of a card is a great idea. Kazri, hopefully I'm saying that right. Yeah, I thought it was because I just couldn't get it together. And Tony and I were talking about this the other day, how, we thought maybe it was just the weather in Minnesota not having snow. It just doesn't feel like the holidays as much. But I don't know, something's going on and I don't know if it's just a me thing. You guys tell me in the comments. Tell me in the live chat. If you're catching this on the replay, tell me in the comments. I just feel like I don't want to just do things because that's now I'm supposed to. Now I'm supposed to send out holiday cards. If I love doing holiday cards and I love sending them out, which I once did, then I'm going to do it. And even with Christmas gifts and shopping, I just my grandkids, I'm like, there's not much. My grandson, he is picky as hell. He's 6. And I sent my daughter money. I'm like, you pick it. Because last year I shit the bed on it. I don't think he liked what I got him at all. So I'm going to have her pick it. But it used to be something that I enjoyed so much more and I just don't. And it starts feeling like this. Well, now I'm supposed to do this. Now I'm supposed to. And I don't know if it's just part of shedding, like the whole cult thing and figuring things out. But I'm finding myself, there's a lot that I'm like, I don't know if I want to get them gifts anytime I want to get them gifts. And I do. But if it's a birthday or if it's a holiday and I don't have something in mind, or I didn't find something I really think they would like, I don't want to just go get a gift to get a gift. And I don't know. I'm kind of into unsubscribing for a while from some things and finding some new traditions. And I think my tradition is going to be, I just don't want to wait. I don't want to have to wait to a holiday in order to do something. That if I want to listen to Christmas music and it's July, but I'm just like feeling it, I'm going to do it. If I want to give my kids or someone a gift, but it's not a birthday or no, it's not Christmas, I'm going to do it. And if it's their birthday or Christmas and it's not something I can find, then I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens, see how that goes for me. Pause for Andrea. Definitely share the song, please and thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm going to need a lot of support on that one because it's so embarrassing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I am committing to you right here, right now. I'm going to talk to Aaron. Maybe we can do it next week. We'll see. Joel here. You have to see the IS song from Melbourne org, Ultimate Cringe. They also did a drop on the floor level cringe rap song a few years back as well. You could do a whole bad song episode. I love that. I wonder if their stuff's copyrighted or not. The song that I'm going to share, my sister wrote the music. She did the whole thing in GarageBand, so I don't have to worry about that. But that's hilarious. I am going to have to look that up, and maybe it'll help me not feel like it's the worst thing. But I want to share it because it's funny. I have been laughing so hard. In fact, I'm going to play it for Tony in the car. That's what I'm going to do. I should get a reaction video for him doing that. Maya says, years ago, I made a Christmas music video, burnt it on CD and sent it out instead of cards. It was a huge hit. I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much for the super chat. Natalie, have you seen Apostate Alex's Scientology 12 Days of Christmas? You would love it. No, but now I know what I'm doing later. That sounds amazing. It really does. I love that. I just got done watching and you guys recommended it. It was the Mother of God, about that one cult, the Mother of God, something else, but you know who I'm talking about, because I didn't know that they were in Hawaii for a bit. And so I watched the whole thing the other day, and there's something I heard in that made me go, wait a minute, what? And I paused it and I rewound it. And then I had to ask Tony, do people say this phrase outside of Scientology? And he's like, no, nobody says it like that. So you guys tell me, in Scientology, you know how if you were around for my live, I think we talked about it yesterday. We talked about the liability condition and the idea that there are these different conditions in Scientology. Each has a formula, which are steps that you're supposed to take to get yourself into a higher condition. Well, and liability is the one we talked about, but there's also one it's called treason. And it's what it sounds like. You got to do something really against the agreements of the group, and you're a traitor. And to be accepted back, there's steps that you have to take, and then you work your way up to liability, where you have to make amends and go around with a piece of paper and have people signing off on it saying that you can go. Well, I'm listening to this Mother of God thing, and she's talking about the cult leader when she's talking about after they were on Dr. Phil with the family. And she said, they're in treason. She was talking about her family, not they're treasonous. They committed an act of treason. She said they are in treason. And that is a very common phrase in Scientology. You are in treason. You are in liability, and so on and so on. And at that moment, I was like, oh, was that bitch a Scientologist? Or did she pick it up somewhere? Or maybe people say that and I just don't know. Love has won. Yes, love has won. That is the name of the documentary that, thanks to you guys, I went and watched. And I was like, when she said that, and my Tony, he said that, no, people don't say it like that. So could just be she misspoke. I just was like, whoa, wait a minute. I've never heard that outside of Scientology. They're in treason. So you guys tell me. I don't know if did people say that? Hey, Parallel Jen. Because I really don't know. Interesting coincidence, says Poet. Yeah, it could be. It could totally be. And I feel like in the process of doing that documentary, if it was uncovered that she had spent any time in Scientology, that would be part of it, because that would add to, right, the interest of this whole cult thing. And there is precedent where people were in Scientology and went off and started their own groups and their own cults. Back in the day, so there's a list in Scientology of what are called suppressive groups. And we're told in Scientology that they are suppressive groups because these people took L. Ron Hubbard's technology, altered it, and opened their own organization, right? And Est was one of those, which then became something else, which became something else. There's a few. There's a whole bunch of them on the list. Kelly says, never heard it in English. So yeah, I don't know. You are in treason. I'm not sure. I don't really know. I'm curious now, though, because it was freaky. I had to stop it and rewind it and go like, what? Did she say what I think she said? NXIVM ripped off Church of Scientology in very blatant ways. Yes, I need to finish watching those, because there were 2 documentaries on NXIVM and I got into one, and I just need to go back and finish it. And same thing. I'm like, wow, some of these tactics, like they must have studied Scientology, or at least how the organization works. I mean, truly. Oh yeah, Landmark. I'd heard that. Maybe Est became Landmark, or Est became something which then became Landmark. It was something like that. And I have no idea today how these organizations are set up, or whether or not it's really a cult. Just it's on the list of, but if it's an organization in Scientology that's off limits, you gotta wonder. And what I found so hilarious is they were off limits in Scientology because they were in competition with Scientology, which is just really, really hilarious when you think about it. So I am going to find out. I'm going to talk to Aaron and plan to be able to share this song with you. That's mortifying, but it's kind of cool because, like I said, David Miscavige bought my single, and I don't think many people can say that. That even might be my thumbnail. Oh, it's so cringe. I'm going to listen to it right after I get off here. It just makes me absolutely crack up and laugh. I'm so glad that you guys are here and you jumped on and everything that you're sharing. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your help in growing the channel. Be sure to subscribe if you have not and check your subscribe button. Everybody check it on your subscribe button because I've been hearing people getting unsubscribed. I don't think so much from my channel. I only heard that from one person. And if if you enjoy the video, like it as well. I'm told that that helps. You guys are all teaching me. You got to like the video, comment on the video, share the video, subscribe. All of those things will help grow. And then we can get Tony on here. I already told him we're going to do it probably on a Saturday because when I get home from work, he is doing well, but he is still recovering from his cancer treatment and he still deals with quite a lot of fatigue. And so I want to do it when he feels like he has more energy, which would be on the weekend. So I'm like, as soon as we hit that 10,000, the first Saturday after that, Tony is going to come on. Maya says, with that thumbnail, you will hit 10,000 subs tomorrow. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Because then next Saturday we could do it. How great would that be to do it before the end of the year? But I appreciate that. I appreciate your tips. I'm going to find a place somewhere to put my email. Some people have asked, Natalie@tonkatalk.com. That's a great way to email me. But absolutely, mele kalikimaka to all of you. Thank you for being here. Your tips, your humor, your support. Cannot tell you how much it means to me and to my family. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday weekend. And I don't know what we're doing tomorrow in the morning. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video or not tomorrow. I know I'm going to be making a bunch of shorts because I just learned how to do that and I'm super into it. It's been a lot of fun. So I've been making shorts out of some of the clips of the things that I've done with Aaron as well. So anything you'd like to see, let me know about that as well. And I will, Cindy says, I never get unsubscribed and I think it's due to always hitting the like button. Oh, that's interesting. I have no idea how the whole YouTube algorithm and stuff works, but that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So like. Wonderful. You guys have a great, great, great rest of the day and weekend, and I will talk to you soon.